Okay, I'm going to record.
All right.
All right, we're at the last paragraph.
All right.
I guess I'll just, you can
Okay.
read the paragraph starting in this shloka. The matter of Mahavishnu is summarized. You go ahead and read that. Can you see?
Where he glances over his material nature and the Mahavdava is at once created, thus electrified by power of God. The material nature at once creates innumerable universes, such as in due course a tree decorated itself with innumerable grown fruits. The seed of the tree is sown by the cultivator, and the tree of creeper in due course becomes manifested with some many fruits. Nothing can take place without a cause. The Kṛṣṇa ocean is therefore called the causal ocean. The Kṛṣṇa means causal. We should not foolishly accept the atheistic theory of creation. The description of the atheist is given in the Bhagavad Gita. The atheist does not believe in the creator, but he cannot give a good theory to explain the creation. Material nature has no power to create without the power of the Purusha, such as procreation or women cannot produce a child without the connection of a Purusha or a man. The Purusha impregnates and the Prakti delivers. We should not accept milk from the fleshy bags of the neck of a goat, although they look like breastly nipples. Similarly, we should not expect any creative power from the material ingredients. We must believe in the power of the Purusha who impregnates Prakti or nature, because the Lord wished to lie down in the meditation. The material energy created innumerable universes at once. In each of them, the Lord lay down. And thus all the planets and the different paraphernalia, we were created at once as by the will of the Lord. The Lord has unlimited potencies, and thus he can act as he likes by perfect planning. Although personally he has nothing to do, no one is greater than or equal to him. That is the verdict of the Vedas.
Yeah, it says in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Upanishad that Kṛṣṇa, he just initiates the creation of the universe just by his will. Just like as a freight train pushes the train, all automatically everything in creation takes place as an automatic sequence, just by his will. He doesn't have to do anything. He's too busy enjoying with Radharani in the spiritual world and all his coward boyfriends and stuff. So he doesn't have time for that. You know, he's too busy enjoying. So he just by his willing, because he wants to deliver all the fallen living entities who wanted to enjoy separately, he creates this material universe to give them facility to enjoy separately. But he doesn't leave us here. He just creates this universe and kind of like a school of hard knocks so we can remember him. He sends his bona fide son or representative or guru, or sometimes he comes himself, and then he delivers us from this material creation and reminds us that our real home is in the spiritual world. But he creates us. It's not really one of his main jobs, you know. He's you know, and just like you said, you shouldn't believe the atheist theory of a creation. They can't explain the creation. In fact, it seems like they come up with a new explanation, like they have some new discovery every other month about the creation of the universe. You know, they sent that big telescope up there. It's like supposed to, you know, the Webb satellite.
The James Webb satellite.
Yeah, and they want to like look into the beginning of time, you know, back hundreds of millions of light years away, so they can create, you know, find out where everything came from. But they're looking in the wrong place because it didn't come from there.
That's what you told me.
It's like they come up with a new theory, you know, based on, you know, like reverse time theories and coming from nothing, you know, the subatomic particles were created out of nothing, out of some kind of vacuum, and they come up with a new theory every other day, you know. And so they should have like a theory of the month club, you know.
They
But
do. They should.
The Onion magazine, you ever heard of the Onion? It's like a satirical magazine.
Yes, I have heard of it.
When they start ragging on you, you know it's like a bunch of nonsense. They have this. See, look at this. Here, I'll show you on the screen here. See that?
I see it. Yes, I see that.
That's
That's really what it is.
It says, if the physicists discover our universe as a fictional setting of a cop show called Hard Case. See, in other words, they just come up with this, you know, say this Palo Alto, California, reportedly Tuesday by physicists at Stanford University has revealed that the entire known universe, including the whole of human civilization, the totality of all existing matter and energy, is actually the fictional state setting of a police procedural television series called Hard Case. Scientists studying the properties of light from exploding supernova confirmed their research has conclusively demonstrated that existence as we know it was created solely to provide the framework for a primetime drama that airs in a parallel universe and is centered around a brash New York police detective named Rick Case and his partner, Michelle Crowley, and other members of the Hard Case Fictitious Homicide Division.
Wow.
And it says, by observing the behavior of vibrating subatomic strings in relation to large-scale cosmological events, we have been able to determine that our universe is part of an expanding fabricated microcosm developed by Hard Case creator and executive producer Dominic Egan, who studies outside our fictional reality, said the study's lead author, who later speculated that Egan would likely have won several Emmy Awards had he himself not invented television's highest accolade as humorous, metafaceted Hard Case world. In fact, we've discovered that every human being on Earth is essentially an extra, a figment of Mr. Egan's imagination brought into existence solely to lead texture and credibility to the hard-bitten world in which detectives Case and Crowley regularly match wits against New York's most formidable criminals. I mean, that's just about as believable as any other stupid theory that they ever come up with.
I'd rather, I would just stick with probably plot on that. I'm not going to go on science.
Well, you know, I'm just saying this because you can't believe anything that they say. They don't have any good theories about the creation. They have Gus' theory of expanding universe, the Big Bang, and all this stuff. I remember my father in his, you know, in the 70s, he had a colleague that had a bumper sticker on his wall, on his door, and it said, "The Big Bang is an exploding myth." How can everything come from nothing? Where do you experience that? Anyway, so let's go to the first verse here. This is text 3. Vyasya yavava sastanai kalpito lokavishtara tadvai bhagavato rupam visudam sattvam urjitam. Synonyms: Yasya, whose avayava, bodily expansion, samstanai, situated in, Kalpita is imagined, Loka, planets of inhabitants, Vishtara, various, Tatvai, that is, Bhagavata, of the personality of guided Rupam form, Visudam, purely, Sattvam, existence, Urjitam, excellence. Translation: it is believed that all the universal planetary systems are existed in the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence, par excellence. Go ahead and read the purport.
All right. The purport is the conception of the Virata Rupa and Virasa Rupa of the supreme absolute truth is especially meant for the neophyte, who can hardly think of the transcendental form of the personality of Godhead. To him, a form means something of this material world, and therefore an opposite conception of the absolute is nothing in the beginning to concentrate the mind of the power extension of the Lord. As stated above, the Lord extends his potencies in the form of the Mahatatava, which includes all material ingredients. The extension of the power by the Lord himself personally are one in one sense, but at the same time, the Mahatattva is different from the Lord. Therefore, the potency of the Lord and the Lord are simultaneously different and non-different. The conception of the Viruddha, especially for the impersonalist, is thus not different from the eternal form of the Lord. The eternal form of the Lord exists prior to the creation of the Mahatattva, and it is stressed here that the eternal form of the Lord is par excellence, spiritual or transcendental to the modes of material nature. The very same transcendental form of the Lord is manifested by his internal potency and the formation of the multifarious manifestations of incarnations is always at the same transcendental quality without any touch of the Mahatattva.
Yeah, I mean, that's just another example of, the material creation and the Lord are simultaneously one and different, but the Lord himself is transcendental to all material qualities. But at the same time, he's the same and different, because it's coming from him. He's a manifestation. The universe is a manifestation from his internal potency, but he is not attached. He's not a part or influenced by the material energy at all. Text 4. Pasyantyado rupam abhad adabra chakshush sahasra padoro bhajananam bhutam sahasra murdhasravanakshi naisikam sahasra moli ambara kundalo lasat. Synonyms. Pasyanti, see, ada, the form of the Purusha, rupam form, adabra, perfect, chakshush, by the eyes, sahasrapada, thousands of legs, uru, thighs, bhuja anana, hands and faces, adbhutam, wonderful, sahasra, thousands of murda, heads, shravana, ears, akshi, eyes, naisikam, noses, sahasra, thousands, moli, garlands, ambahara, dresses, kundala, earrings, ulasat, all glowing. Translation. The devotees with their perfect eyes can see the transcendental form of the Purusha, who has thousands of legs, arms, thighs, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. That's what kind of like what Arjuna saw when Kṛṣṇa revealed his transcendental form. He said, nobody can see this form. I'll show them to you, but I have to give you divine eyes. And so he gave Arjuna divine eyes, and then he could see his transcendental universal form with thousands of arms, heads, thighs, and his fierce teeth that were like consuming all the soldiers at one time, and his mouth of flames. And he was afraid, and then he started praying to Kṛṣṇa, I've taken you for granted. I called you my friend when we were lying down or eating, but now I understand that you're like the supreme person. But, he displayed that form because Arjuna wanted to see, but Arjuna didn't really like that form, because, he wants to see Kṛṣṇa in his original form is of the two-armed form of Kṛṣṇa because he can relate to that form, so he reverted back to that, first his Narayan form with four hands and then to his two-armed form. That's so lovely. So you can read the purport.
Purport is without our present materialized senses, we cannot perceive anything of the transcendental Lord. Our present senses are to be rectified by the process of devotional service, and then the Lord himself becomes revealed to us. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the transcendental Lord can be perceived only by pure devotional service. So it is confirmed in the Vedas that only devotional service can lead one to the side of the Lord, and that only devotional service can reveal him. In the Brahma Samhita, also it is said that the Lord is always visible to the devotees whose eyes have been anointed with a tinge of devotional service. So we have to take information of the transcendental form of the Lord's from people who have actually seen him with perfect eyes smeared with devotional service. In the material world, also, we do not always see things with our own eyes. We sometimes see through the experience of those who have actually seen or done things. If that is the process for experiencing a mundane object, it is more perfectly applicable in matters transcendental. So only with patience and perseverance can we realize the transcendental subject matter regarding the absolute truth in his different forms. He is formless to the neophytes, he- but he is in the transcendental form to the expert servitor.
That's why it says, just try to approach a perfect devotee, a self-realized soul. He can reveal Kṛṣṇa to him because he's seen the truth. See, the whole idea is devotional service. Your eyes have to be smeared with the tinge of love. Devotional service means love. You know who Kṛṣṇa is, and then when you understand what he desires, then you can serve him. You can't serve somebody unless you know what he wants. If he asks for a glass of water and you give him a glass of milk, that's not very good service. You have to give Kṛṣṇa what he wants. And so the only way we can understand who Kṛṣṇa is, or what he wants, or what his desires and what he looks like and everything, is through the devotees who have seen and know what he wants. And so when we listen to those devotees, we can actually get an idea of what Kṛṣṇa wants, and then we can serve him according to his desire. There's three classes of devotees. There's third class, second class, and first class devotees. Third class devotee does whatever he thinks he wants to offer to Kṛṣṇa. It's just based on his whim, basically. He may have some faith, but he doesn't have, perfect faith. He can't understand the scriptures at all. The second class devotee, he does what Kṛṣṇa tells him. He's surrendered to Kṛṣṇa, and he knows what Kṛṣṇa is wanting. But the first class devotee does what Kṛṣṇa wants without even having asked. That's a first class devotee. So there's three different levels of devotee. And so we have to come to at least the second class platform. In other words, the Madhyama Adhikari. We have to surrender to Kṛṣṇa in order to understand what he wants. And then we can serve. And when we serve him, then Kṛṣṇa reveals himself more and more. Kṛṣṇa says, as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. We get more and more realization of Kṛṣṇa as we surrender and serve his devotee. So since all of knowledge from Kṛṣṇa about Kṛṣṇa comes from the devotee of Kṛṣṇa, we have to our only business is to find out what the pure devotee wants and then do it. We say that pranam mantras for the gurus every day, the Guru Puj. And it goes, the lotus feet of our spiritual master is the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. By his grace, one could cross the ocean of material suffering and attain the mercy of Kṛṣṇa. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection which fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He's my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic karma emanates, by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercies. The friend of the devotees, friend of the poor and Lord and master of the devotees. Oh, master, be merciful to us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the 14 worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. That poem, that prayer is by Narottam Das Thakur. He wrote a lot of great songs about the spiritual master. But it's really, really powerful when you actually understand that the key to devotional service is serving the devotees, and actually when the spiritual master is pleased, like you say in the other prayer that we sing every morning, the first prayer is the Guru Vastakam, and it says, without the grace of the spiritual master, no one can. When the spiritual master is pleased, then you can understand Kṛṣṇa. Without the grace of the spiritual master, no one can understand Kṛṣṇa. So, we just have to try to please and serve the devotee of Kṛṣṇa just by doing what they want, render menial service, and, ask good questions, and then if he's very merciful, so he'll reveal Kṛṣṇa to that devotee that approaches him in that menial, submissive way, humble way. He's conquered by humility and submission and service and hearing. Like Bhaktisiddhanta marked Srila Prabhupada, because he said he heard what Bhaktisiddhanta, he would just sit there and listen to what his spiritual master would say. And he marked him, and he was able to become a pure devotee through that process. And he spread Kṛṣṇa consciousness all over the world. In order to become a good teacher, you have to become a good listener. So that's the process of devotional service. It's this oral reception. Oral means through the ear, because everything comes from the ear, from hearing and chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, and listening to the words of a pure devotee. We have to churn those words, those instructions in our minds all throughout the day. Memorize verses, chant the Hare Kṛṣṇa mantra, repeat those instructions of the spiritual master in your mind and through the Vedas, and memorize them and repeat them all throughout the day. And then that reminds you of what Kṛṣṇa wants. And when you understand what Kṛṣṇa wants, then you can serve him, because you can't serve anybody without knowing what he wants. Again, that's the key. And then when you realize what he wants and you serve him, then he's pleased, and then he'll reveal himself and entrust you with more and more devotional service. And it's unlimited. It becomes like a competition, and you get unlimited pleasure from that transcendental competition between the devotee and Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is trying to please his devotee. Devotee is trying to please Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is in the devotee's heart, and devotees in Kṛṣṇa's heart, and they never leave each other. So that's what it means by the ever increasing ocean of transcendental bliss. It's something, the happiness that never goes down. It's always like an increasing ocean. You never see the ocean increasing its waves or its banks or its shores, but this ocean is ever increasing, and it's ever increasing ocean of bliss, and it never ends. It's eternal. So that's the difference between material happiness and spiritual happiness. Let's read this next verse. We got 10 minutes left here.
All right. That was a good review.
Yeah. So text 5, Etan nanavataranam nidanam bijamaviyam yasyam samsena shrindyanti devatirya naradaya. Synonyms. Etat, this form, dana, multifarious. Avataranam, of the incarnations. Nidhanam, source, bijam, seed. Avyayam, indestructible. Yasya, whose amsa, plenary portions. Amsena, part of the plenary portion. Shrijanti, create. Deva, demigods. Tiryak, animals. Nara, adaya, human beings and others. Translation. This form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others are created. Go ahead.
All right, the purport is the Purusha. After creating the innumerable universes in the Mahatattva, entered each of them as the second Purusha. What's that word?
Garbhadakshayi Vishnu.
When he saw that within the universe that there was only darkness and space without a resting place, he filled half of the universe with water from his own perspiration. Yeah, perspiration. Yeah, sorry, I lost my rhythm to it. And laid himself down on the same water. This water is called what's that word again? Garbhodak. Then from his navel, the stem of the lotus flower sprouted in. On the flower petals, the birth of Brahma, or the master engineer of the universal plan, took place. Brahma became the engineer of the universe. and the Lord himself took charge of the maintenance of the universe as Vishnu. Brahma was generated from what's that word?
Rajagun,
Rajagun of Prakriti, or the mode of
Prakriti,
passion. What's that word?
Prakriti. Well, a
Pra-
R with a dot under it. You pronounce it Re.
oh,
Prakriti.
Prakriti, or the mode of passion and nature, and Vishnu became the Lord of the mode of goodness. Vishnu, being transcendental to all the modes, is always aloof from materialistic affection. This was already been explained. From Brahma, there is Rudra, which is Shiva, who is in charge of the mode of ignorance or darkness. He destroys the whole creation by the will of the Lord, that's Shiva. Therefore, all three, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, are incarnations of the Garbhadrakshaya. I said it wrong.
Garbhadakshayi with the S with a slash over it and is pronounced SH. Garbhadakshayi, Vishnu.
Garbhadrakshaya, Vishnu. From Brahma, the other demigods like Daksha, Marshi, Manu, and many other became incarnated to generate living entities within the universe. The Garbhadrakshi, Vishnu, is glorified in the Vedas, in the hymns of the Garbhadra Sutti. That's in the Kṛṣṇa book too, which began in the description of the Lord as having thousands of heads, etc. The Kakashi Vishnu is the Lord of the universe, and although he appears to be lying within the universe, he is always transcendental. This is also has already been explained. The Vishnu who is plenary portions of the Garbhadrakshadasi Vishnu is the supersoul of the universal life, and he is known as the maintainer of the universe. Our
Kshirodakshai Vishnu. S with underneath is also pronounced Shir, SH. So it's Kshirodakshai Vishnu.
So the three features of the original Purusha are thus understood, and all the incarnations within the universe are emanations from the I lost it.
Kshirodaksha. You
Yes,
say pronounce the K and then you say Kshira. Kshiro. Kshirodakshai Vishnu.
Yeah.
In different
Now,
millennia, there are different incarnations, and they are innumerable. Although some of them are very prominent, such as Matsya, Karma, Varaha, Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, and others. These incarnations are called Leela incarnations. Leela means pastimes.
yeah,
You know, they exhibit their various pastimes, like Nrsimhadev kills Hiranyakashipu, Vamana, you know, put his a dwarf incarnation. He displayed the pastime of with 3 steps of land, begging from Bali. He covered the entire universe and put his foot through the covering of the universe because he expanded his body. And from that hole in the universal covering, the Ganges started flowing down.
wow.
And the Ganges actually landed on Shiva's head. Shiva, you know, the force of the Ganges coming from that high up, you know, you had to have somebody to hold it. So the Ganges ended up in Shiva's coming on Shiva's head, and then it starts out in the Himalayas. In this world, you know, there are different versions of the Ganges, but because it washed the feet of Vamanadev, therefore it's holy, and therefore the Ganges is purifying. Anyone who takes a bath in it, they're immediately purified. Then there are qualitative incarnations such as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, or Rudra, who take charge of the different modes of material nature. Brahma's in charge of passion, Vishnu's in charge of goodness, and Shiva is in charge of ignorance. They're in charge of these different modes. There's 3 modes of material nature: tamas, sattva, goodness, and rajas, or passion. Brahma is in the mode of passion, so he creates. Somebody in the mode of passion is like a businessman. He wants to create some big enterprise. So Brahma is like the creator. He's the engineer of the universe. And Vishnu, he maintains everything. He's in the mode of goodness. He's in charge of the mode of goodness. He's actually beyond goodness. All the other two demigods, like Brahma and Shiva, they're tinged with the affected by the modes of nature. But Vishnu, because he's totally Vishnu Tattva, or beyond the modes of material nature, he's not touched by the material nature at all. We have 2 minutes left. Let's try to finish up this purport here. You read the next paragraph, and I'll
Lord Vishnu is not an ordinary living being. Wait, is not different from the personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is in the marginal position between the personality of Godhead and the living entities or Jivas. Brahma is always a Jivatava. The highest pious living being, or the greatest devotee of the Lord, is empowered with the potency of the Lord for creation, and he is called Brahma. His power is like the power of the sun, reflected the valuable stones and jewels. When there is no such living being to take charge of the post of Brahma, the Lord himself becomes a Brahma and takes charge of the post.
Okay. I'll just try to read the rest of it. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living being. He's a plenary part of the Lord, but because Lord Shiva is in direct touch with material nature, he's not exactly in the same position as Lord Vishnu. The difference is like that between curd and milk. Curd is nothing but milk, and yet it cannot be used in the place of milk. And oh man, this is a long purport.
I think she should save that for next time.
Okay, you have any questions? We got less than a minute
left.
What?
Yeah. Do you know why Lakshmi is right next to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam sometimes? Because sometimes she comes into sometimes
Lakshmi is eternal consort of Vishnu. Whatever form Vishnu takes, Lakshmi takes birth as his eternal consort.
Oh, yeah.
So she's the same personality, but she accompanies Vishnu as his eternal, consort.
Oh, okay. So that's her consort, and then there's Mahasara Paraluja. Yeah,